Welcome back, everybody. Today is August 9th, the Clicks and Bricks. If you like business and technology, smash that like and subscribe button. Let us know. And if you find value in anything that we're talking about today, make sure you leave a comment or send an email so that we know what to keep putting out there. This channel is for you, so it's hopefully we're creating value for you guys and ladies. So before we get started, if you'd like to join my text line community, 314-370-2871. All you have to do is send a message, say hi, or ask me any question, and I'll do my best to answer you. Just open and honestly. I'll never try to sell you anything. You'll get 1 to 4 texts a month from me. There's going to be motivational stuff, tips and tricks, business, tech, anything that I come across. If I think it can give you an advantage in the day, I might send it out to you. So it's a fun community to belong to. Again, 314-370-2871. Today's episode is brought to you by nlink.com, Rapport Made Easy. Your nlink.com account is a very simple place where you can go put in all of your social media profiles, your Cash App profiles, your business LinkedIn, your business Facebook pages, all of those things, and it makes one really nice landing page for you. My link, nlink.com, is nlink.com/Ken, and that will link you to all of my social media profiles, including this podcast on Twitch and a couple of other locations. So it's a great resource. If you're a business and you're struggling with, how do I get put out one link and give everybody my social media profile, it's a great tool for that specific case study. All right, moving on to our first topic of the day. Is AI sexist? This is, so Twitter comes out, the Twitter photo cropping algorithm favors young, thin females. They've stopped using this algorithm, according to the story, and they're working on how to solve it. So basically what happened was they were just doing some studies, and the auto face cropping features, somebody put just hundreds or thousands of pictures in and let it auto crop, and if there was a young, thin female in that picture, she was always the one that it went to, because the algorithm favors that. You know how artificial intelligence or augmented intelligence is really what I would call it, because humans are writing the artificial intelligence. It's augmented intelligence. So if you understand how that works for machine learning, if I want to say, hey machine, I want to show you what a dog is, I'm going to show you a million pictures. I'm going to show that computer a million different pictures, and I'm going to say this is dog, this is not a dog. And therefore, when the computer sees a picture of a random dog, it's going to associate that to all the millions of photos that it saw that said, hey, this is what a dog looks like, and all the millions that said, hey, this is not what a dog looks like. That's how it knows if it's a dog or not a dog. So when you're doing AI and you're loading pictures into the engines, it makes a lot of sense that the people that you're attracted to are going to end up being the more pictures that you're putting in there, right? Even if it's subconsciously. So, but finding these things out early in the AI world, I think, is really important. So inside artificial intelligence or augmented intelligence, you're going to have things where the creators that were feeding the data in, it was their perception of what that object was. So not necessarily what the object truly is. So it's an interesting topic. They're going to be working on that. I mean, artificial intelligence, augmented intelligence, it's a really tough game. I don't know how, if you really wanted to get to machine intelligence where, no human interaction, I don't know how that's ever going to be around unless the machine makes a new machine, because it's always going to have human interaction. But I could definitely see how that could happen. But I think, this algorithm, this article that I'm reading kind of talks, bad about that. That artificial intelligence ends up being that way. But I think that there's probably a huge market for opportunity for different websites to really cater to specific niches, right? The Indian community wants to, obviously they want to break outside of their community and learn about other cultures and things like that. But they also have, passion about their own history and culture as well. So I think if you know that, you could make artificial intelligence, that I know segregation is a bad, that it can be a bad word, and that's probably a little more political topic than I care to talk about. But I think it's important, and when we're writing these new AIs, we can write them specific to different cultures, different races, different sexes. So obviously, if you're writing AI for a female empowerment application, it would lean heavily on the female's narrative. It would not lean very much on the male narrative at all. So I think it's only natural that AI is written by humans, that it becomes biased in some way, right? Even if we didn't intend it. So, but knowing that we have the problem now, it's great that they're going to be working on solutions to make that non-bias. And I think there's going to be a lot of apps that need to be not biased, and some that need to have some bias in them. So, moving on, our second topic today. This is pretty cool. I am nowhere near a farmer by any stretch of the imagination, but Farmland is getting an upgrade. John Deere doubles down on Silicon Valley robots. They made a purchase, they announced that they are buying the Bear Flag Robotics, right? And they don't even make the robots, right? They basically retrofit existing tractors with sensors and controls to be automated or autonomous. And they're also trying to partner, so that's the Bear Flag. And then there's another company that they're working with that has an automated system, and it does have artificial intelligence, but it's for a weed killer. So it's some kind of automated system that goes out and kills the weeds, and that's got some artificial intelligence built into it. But these are just GPS guided paths, and they just drive on and they do the farming all on its own. So I think that's a fantastic thing that could probably farm 24/7, right? You don't even need headlights to drive a tractor at night if it's guided by GPS. So as our world, I have a very big belief that our planet is going to be reducing its meat dependency, its cattle dependency dramatically over the next 10, 20, 50, 100 years. So automating that process so that we can really farm 24/7, 365, I think is important for mankind to double our capacity again, right? At some point, we're going to have another double the amount of humans on this planet, and we're not going to have enough room for the cattle. It's bad practice anyway. So as we get rid of those, and the farmland is going to have to be highly automated to make sure that we can feed all the people on the planet. And companies like John Deere and Monsanto or Bayer now are helping us to do that. So, all right, moving on. Female street skating. So the female street skating is an Olympic event now, right? I didn't realize this. And Twitter did a poll to say what was the most talked about Olympic event or Olympic moment. And it was this, I'm going to try to say, I think it's Haisa Leal. It's spelled Rayssa. I think it's Harissa Leal. And you know this chick, right? You know this girl. She's 13 years old. You know her. You've probably seen the YouTube video of the little girl in it's like a teal fairy outfit doing a kickflip off some stairs. And she did it over and over. And she kept crashing. She just kept doing it. But she was 8 years old then. Now she's 13 years old. She won the gold in women's skateboarding, and it was the most tweeted about event of the Olympics. So that's really cool. Men's basketball, I think, was the second most tweeted. But Hayes is from Brazil. Super cool chick. Follow her on YouTube. Look her up. If you want to watch the best trick competition, it's on YouTube. It's pretty cool to watch. This girl makes skateboarding look so simple. And it's really exciting to think, moving into 2021, street skating has always been a male-dominated sport. And Tony Hawk did so much for the sport, and Bob Burnquist and all those guys, from my childhood, to see somebody championing for that sport today and it being female, and watching the female street skating girls. Those ladies are freaking talented, man. They got it going on. They know what's going on. So don't discredit that. Twitter, thanks for putting that out. That's a pretty cool way to just kind of judge what society norms are and what people are really, really talking about. And Twitter knocked that one out. And I probably wouldn't have seen that show. I wouldn't have seen her skate if I hadn't read that article. I went and watched it, and it's a lot of fun. Next up on the radar, Windows 11. We're all going to be dealing with this, and it's just right around the corner, right? A month or two from now. November? Yeah, so a couple months from now, they're going to be rolling it out. I imagine, running the data center running a full-time 24/7 knock. We're going to be dealing with a lot of people with mail configuration changes and reconfiguring FTP protocols and all kinds of fun stuff that we're going to be dealing with tech support with new users calling in. But just a couple of the new features that you should be aware of that I like. I think these are all fantastic steps forward for Windows 11. And I think the biggest thing for Windows 10 was just getting their file system fixed, right? If you don't realize it, Windows 10, I think the biggest benefit was there's just their search functionality and indexing that everything in there makes it really, really fast to just search for things and they pop up. Whereas Windows 8, Windows 7, that was kind of clunky. So fixing that and are they using a Linux backend for their search now? No? Still NTFS file system? Okay. So I don't know what they did, but they indexed it properly this time, and it works really, really well. But going into Windows 11, Android app integration. So this is only going to be available, at least in the beginning, through the Amazon Play Store. Amazon, what's the Amazon store called? Google's the Play Store. It's just Amazon App Store. So with Amazon, with Android app integration, they've chosen Android's App Store, which I find a little bizarre. I don't like the Android App Store nearly as much as I like the Play Store from Google. It's just way more open on the Google Play Store than the Android App Store. But I'm betting that they made a better financial play than Google did for Android apps to be available on a Windows phone. So pretty interesting. Windows went to, they tried the mobile. They made a big swing for the fences, man, and it was nice. I thought it was a really good implementation, the last one with Windows 10, but I think they got out of the market as they started to get good. So this might be an attempt for Windows to start squeezing back into the market with their phones, or maybe they're just giving up on mobile altogether and saying it's going to be Halo long term with the Halo lens. I don't know. And they're going to be doing eyewear. But better virtual desktop support. This makes all the sense in the world, right? This is now going straight against Zoom and those guys, I guess, to virtualize your desktop. So you can have your computer at work, you can go home, and then remotely get to that computer really easily. There's a couple apps today that use that. We use an SOS program to get into end users' computers. It's called RMM, Remote Management and Managed Network. Remote Monitoring and Management Software Package. But there's a bunch of them out there. What's a couple of the other ones that we use to get to my desktop? Obviously, Remote Desktop is a protocol inside Windows that you can use. It's kind of challenging if you're not on the public internet, or you don't have a VPN. But TeamViewer is another really easy one to use. Go to my PC. Yeah, those are popular programs today. But what looks like Windows is going to be integrating a better virtual desktop support. So companies like that better start figuring out how they're going to compete with Windows 11 coming out, if they're going to compete with that directly. An easier transition from monitor to laptop. And I'm not really sure what they're talking about there. I think what they're saying is that, hey, easily plug a laptop into the monitor. It's going to come up. It's going to auto. But I don't know how much easier it could be than now, I guess. It can be easier. I just think it's really simple. I plug my monitor in, my settings are there, and it comes up, right? But I guess I'm not a laptop user, really, so I'm a desktop user, but I have spare monitors. I do have one laptop. I very seldomly use it.
Your monitors move. You need to keep track of what's there.
Okay. So I guess if you have a laptop, it's going to know better what monitor you're currently plugged into and go back to those configuration settings. So the next one I think is kind of lame. Microsoft Teams added to the taskbar. Microsoft Teams is I don't use it anyway, and it's already on startup, right? I got to go in and take it out or decide to use it. I don't know if they're going to be upgrading Teams to be just a better use tool or not. Right now, I don't. If you use Microsoft Teams, give me some case use studies that you use it for. Are you using it for the whole company? Do you use it for a couple people in the company? I don't know. I don't use it at all. I think that there's just a lot of better communication tools out there than Teams. It's always seemed clunky. Improved widgets. Let's see if they got it right this time. They've been trying for this for a long time. I think the only one that's ever gotten widgets right is Android. I think Android does a really great job with full screen widgets, half screen widgets, and things like that. That they're pulling data from an app and displaying it on your screen, on your main screen. I think it's fantastic. Windows has had this functionality for a long time. I just think that they're trying to figure out how to make it right. We've all seen it, right? The weather, I think there's like Weatherbee or something like that. I see it on a lot of computers. I go, get the shit off your computer. But it's always third-party apps. Or it feels like third-party apps that do these kind of widgets. So Microsoft's trying to improve their widget integration. This makes a lot of sense. Enhanced touchscreen, voice, and pen support. Cortana is not the greatest virtual assistant or audio assistant, in my opinion. I think Alexa, hands down, has it. Google Voice Translate I like a lot. I use it pretty regularly. It is pretty clunky still. So I think we have a long way to come with voice and pen support. And enhanced touchscreen is always going to be getting better and better and better and better. And then the last thing that they're going to do is there's all kinds of different stuff. It's a totally different look and feel, right? They're going to be adding the Xbox component. So auto HDR detect and direct storage for gaming, which is pretty cool. I'm a little bummed that Microsoft is taking a page right from Apple on this. The other thing that they've done is that they've done that stupid crap where they put all the icons in the center and they bubble them up and they round them all out. And I think it does look okay. The benefit though is that you can put your start bar back to the left and you can put your menu bar back to the way it was originally. So you can go back to custom style, right? They tried to do this menu bar change with Windows 8 and it was a total flop. And they had for a while, even in 8.1, you had to go back to the original start bar, and then finally this is just what everybody does, so we're just going to go ahead and make that the standard now. It's really hard to beat the start bar the way they have it configured. I like it a lot better than the centered, with them popping up really big. I feel like I look at a Mac user's computer, I'm like, how the hell are they not lost all the time? It's just there's just 100,000 icons down at the bottom, and they all just kind of bubble up as you scroll through them. I just think it's a horrible waste of time. If I want to open Photoshop, I hit my Windows key, I type in Photoshop, and I hit enter. Right? I don't scroll through all of those icons down there. I think it's just a giant pain in the ass. But I'm not an Apple fan. So if I was an Apple fan, I'd probably love that. And if you love that, then Windows is going to have an answer for you, and they're going to give you that same style start bar that you like in your Apple devices. But at the end of the day, it's hit the Apple button or hit the Windows button. It's pretty much the same stuff under the hood anymore. They do the same kind of they drill the same kind of holes, right? They just use a different kind of bit. Moving on to the next topic. Zoom gets hit with an $85 million. Well, they didn't get hit with an $85 million lawsuit. They settled for $85 million. And if you're eligible, if you registered for a personal use, not through an enterprise or a government account, between March 30th and July 30th, March 30th of 2016 and July 30th of 21. If you registered for Zoom in that time frame, which is probably half the planet, then you're part of this lawsuit, and you can get up to $25 you can get from Zoom. And I just think it's Zoom was here in a time of the pandemic where we absolutely needed Zoom to keep our country moving and the world moving, and they stepped up and they fixed a lot of things. This has to do with a couple of different functions that they have. One, it looks like they're being allegedly they sold some user data to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Some of the end user, and they're not allowed to do that per the terms and conditions or whatever. But my viewpoint is that nobody read the terms and conditions anyway. You got to use the software. You probably use the software for free as a personal use, and you're getting $25 because you didn't read the terms and conditions anyway. Most people would have absolutely agreed to let their data be sold because they do it to Facebook and Twitter, right? It's just a shame that we live in a sue happy world, that this is such a huge fine. And honestly, I would be happier if instead of going through the lawsuit, Zoom sent out a letter of apology to their customers that this happened, explaining what happened, and because $25, I mean, it might change somebody's day, but it's not going to change anybody's life, right? And your data's already been stolen and sold to Facebook 1,000 times. So the other one that they're really complaining about, and I don't know where the lawsuit came in, is this Zoom bombing stuff. And I don't know, I'm going to have to read more on the Zoom bombing. And that's when somebody is just breaking into corporate meeting Zooms, right? But again, if you have a company and you're sharing data over third-party utilities like Zoom, you better read the terms and conditions. You should have a lawyer really look at that, or bring those in-house and use other programs. We use a program inside our company called Rocket Chat for internal communication. It has video sharing. It's got all that functionality. We also use another program called Zimbra, right, that lets us communicate internally. And it's completely on our land, so it doesn't hit the public network. And we own it. We don't own the software, but we own the infrastructure, and it's open third-party software that's open source. So we can get it hosted on our servers, and we don't have to worry about the data being shared with anybody else. It's a really great solution. Our last topic for the day is, are malls coming back? The American malls. It appears that Simon Property Group says their second quarter 2021 report shows better sales, not just better sales than 2020 during the pandemic, which is obvious because they were all closed, but better sales than 2019. So, which is crazy because, well, I guess you wouldn't think it'd be up right now because things are still down. Malls were failing drastically before COVID, and I think we all know that the end goal, or not the end goal for malls, but what they're going to end up being. They're going to be far and few between. But maybe, just maybe, the pandemic has shown people, hey, I've got to get out of my house. I have to get out and support local businesses if I want to keep those businesses, because they saw how fast local businesses shuttered when they didn't have customers, right? And the malls have been shutting down. I know there's at least 3 malls within 25 miles of our location that are just derelict, right? They're just completely shut down and they're not being used at all. So I think we only have 2, maybe 3 malls left in the area. In the St. Louis metro area, there's probably 3 major malls: Galleria, Westport, and South County, I think. As far as the indoor malls, and there's littered with strip malls. But so it's good news on the short term that people are going back to the malls. I think it's because they're pent up. I'm really shocked that they are, because the movies aren't playing new in the mall, right? I think movie theaters are still on the way downside, but people are saying, hey, I'm going to get out and do stuff. I'm going to hit the food court. I'm going to shop. I'm going to do things in my community, and the mall is a great answer for those things. But anyway, that's all I have for today, folks. Again, if you want to join my text line community, 314-370-2871 is my text line community. And just text hi or ask me any question. I'll try to answer you, and I'll never try to sell you anything. That's it for today, folks, and we will see you tomorrow. Get to work.